Hello, welcome to part 3, and in this episode I want to concentrate on all the track work and get all that down, get the right level so I can get it the right height for the dock, and then start work on that. But there is an issue with the set track points, and I watched it on Robert's train set, and both sides of the points are live at all times. I thought you could just modify the point, and you probably can, but it does say here in the instructions, set track turnouts. The turnout will work satisfactory straight out of the box on both analog and DCC systems with no additional work, which is basically how I want it. But it says both routes from the turnout are live at all times, which is ideal for DCC. With analog control, any isolating sections may be required and will need recreating with SL11 insulating joiners together with a switched power feed. So what I have got is I've got my SL11 joiners, and I'm going to put those in so I can then isolate the track and then use one of the Peco point switches to switch the track, and really that's where I'm going to fit those into now and just see if I can get that working. So I'll put my insulated rail joiners on there, and you do have to give these a really good pull because they are actually welded onto the rail itself, so you have to be very careful pulling those off. So that should get this which gives you a very slight extra gap, which shouldn't really be noticeable in O gauge, but it is a bit more noticeable in double O and definitely in N gauge. So this is going to be red feed all on these, so red and black. So I'm going to do black on the outside, red on the, and then I can then just switch the red from either that one or that one using the point switch. That's the plan. So I'm going to make sure that does actually do what I want it to do. So it's about time to get all the track fixed done now. Now I was thinking about using this underlay, and this is just on the floor, no insulation, but I've changed my mind on that because I'm going to hard stand that, and if it sort of flexes or anything like that, it's just going to crack the hard standing possibly, or even break it, you know, a piece might come up off it. So I'm going to lay it straight on the board like I normally do. I've got my point motor ready to fit, and I noticed that these go on the sides like on N gauge ones, so I'm not sure if you can actually drill a hole through the centre. I'm not going to, I'm just going to put the hole inside there, and I'll just mark roughly where I want that. I think I've got it about how I want the track to go, so just going to mark so that's the extreme. So the hole is there, so I want to be in between there. So I think I need to be drilling it along that line. So that's the centre. Right, let's get that hole drilled. This is the one with the switch, by the way. And I've got a switch because I want to switch this line and this line. So let me just make sure I've got the right one. Yeah, these have got a switch on it. There's the instructions. There we go. So, auxiliary switch. So you get a common for the auxiliary switch and 2 contacts. So that would be either power for that rail or power for that rail. So that should work. Right, let's get this drilled, and then I can get this track fixed down and then wired up. And I'm just using a 15mm drill bit. I think that should be fine. Tidy it up a little bit underneath as well. So let's just have a quick double check that all looks all right. Well, that's plenty. I probably could have got away with a 13mm drill bit actually. So perhaps I should have used a 13. I was measuring it sort of like this and going, seeing the throw, but I've gone for a 15 now, so not going to make much difference. I can always put a small piece of tape across like I've done in the past, just so the ballast doesn't fall through. Right, I'm just going to give this a bit of a tidy up, a little paint around that hole, and just give the another border another bit of a coat of paint, because I put a bit of filler in where the screw holes are. Well, that's all the paint dry, and I've just checked to see if all the track is nice and straight, and it seems to be. I'm just going to give it a quick mark around the track, just with a bit of a pen line. Welcome to see this when it's all finished. Already done some of this on the inside. To give me just a rough outline of, I'm going to glue this track down. I'm just going to put a bit of PVA glue down. Now I'll just put a bit of water in there. My finger, I'm just going to give it a bit more of a wider track bed. I really need. Right. Some of that can just come down here. Take a little bit of time to dry. Now I've added a bit of water. Let's get this track back on. That will be that one. And one of the reasons I really like the PVA is if I want to take the track back up, it's so easy to do. So I probably didn't need so much right at this end. Just wipe some of that off. Let me get a little bit of a cloth to wipe that off. Yeah, I'm just saying there that the reason why I use the PVA is just so easy to take the track back up. Right, all these in the track join is okay. Seems to be. I need to make sure the track's all lined up in the right place. So I've just a good look down the track. So what I have done is I've made it completely finish right on this. So all I've got to do is just take the fish plate out, and then that, I don't need to trim any of that track. That's all perfect. So this one, make sure it's parallel along there, so I'm just going to go and check that now before. So what I normally do is, if I've got like a straight edge, I use a set square, but obviously I can't with this, so I need to just make sure that it's roughly about the same, which that is exactly right now. So I've got my insulated joiners all connected. Yeah, because they're always sometimes a little bit loose. So I just want to make sure the track's in those alright. But if I do need to take this up, I just wet the track, let the PVA glue moist, and just lever it up. And it's nice and easy to take back up if I need to. But let's just make sure we've got that. Yeah, that track will be fine. Right, I'm going to apply a little bit of weight to that and let it dry. Right, that's the track all secured down. So I'm just going to leave it a few hours before I start the wiring. Nice and easy wiring, should be on this. Well, that's all the track nice and glued. So I'm just going to get this fitted. So I just need to flip it over and get that actually screwed onto the board. going to mark that with a pen and then put some screws in there. Make sure I've got it in the right place. Just double check. Yep. Getting that key out. That was much better. I'm just going to put a little pilot hole in. That'll just help. So I'm going to get some screws. Normally the screws that I've got are just too long for the boards. But, obviously this time I'm using 9mm boards, so I can use these existing screws. But it's a bit big, that screwdriver. Okay. Now I'm going to get the holes drilled and start getting this wired. And there you can see, looking now, I've got to trim that off, but I'm going to put some wires soldered straight to the track. And what I do need to do, where I've got my isolator section, I need to just drill one hole after it. And then that switch will operate the power to there. So I'm just going to get the rest of those holes drilled and start wiring. I'm going to do red on the inside and black on the outside. So what I have done is I've drilled the extra holes for DCC wiring if I want it. So I'm going to just wire these to a bus anyway, so I don't need them huge length. Where is my solder? And this cable is 2.5mm, and I drilled a 2.5mm hole, so it's just perfect for that. I need to push that through a little bit more. There we go. Not happy with that. Trim a little bit more off there. The track seems to be soaking up all the heat. That's better. Piece up there. I'm going to go and just get the rest of these wires soldered. Got the 2 dropper wires to do to go to the point switch. Right, I've got my 2 main wires coming in. They're going to go to the DC bus or DCC, so it can be run on both. Now I need to put a positive wire to the common on here, and then one from the switch to the one positive DCC bus, and then one to the second positive DCC bus, and then just have a negative one running to both. So what I'm going to do now, so I just need to really have 3 lots running down. So if I run them to, I need to go to this, so, and then I need to put a break in, so let's put them to about that length then. And I'm going to need just one slightly longer one for I might run that the other side of the point. I don't get confused then. Yeah, so if I run that end, and then I'm not going to get confused which saves a lot of messing around with wires using this copper tape. I might not be able to see it on the camera because it might be hidden behind the sort of a wooden structure that I've got, but you'll see it in a minute. trying to keep it as straight as possible really. It looks a bit neater. And then they're not going to reach. A little bit of a pity, so I'll extend the that one up there a little bit just for those. I wasn't anticipating doing it like that. I should have probably done it more down the middle, but not to worry. Also notice I've put yellow wire on, that's for the frog. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to connect that without modifying the points, which I haven't done. So I'm going to just see if I can get it to work without modifying them, but I've added the wire in just in case. In there out of the way. And I've made a slight mistake there. I'm going to just add an extra piece for the negative side. And then a mess. So it's very, very sticky, this. So yeah, it's just that those wires would reach. Those absolute no chance, so they're going to go over here. Now in theory I should have just ran another one here and everything would have fitted. Maybe I do that and it looks a bit neater then. I've got enough copper. Because those would reach to here. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to take this piece off and this piece. And I'm going to do one. From there to there like that. Definitely look neater. I'm going to do it straighter than those then. If I do it straighter, it make them look even worse. That's much better. Right, so from looking at this, I've got a auxiliary switch common, which is on F, and I want D and E to switch the buses. So I'm going to just wire that one up to F, and then each one of those to D and E. Simple. I need a little bit of extra, look out which one, extra magnification I think. So not sure if this is going to get in the way of the camera. So there's F just here. And I apologise if you can't see what I'm doing, because I can't really see. And I think I've got a little bit long, so I'm going to trim it off. Right, I think that's on F. Yeah. So which definitely was on F for the common, yes. And I just need to do these two switches, these two now. Then I've got a 50-50 chance of putting it to the right bus. So I'm just gonna, I suppose I could actually work that out and which way round it's throwing. You know what, I'm just going to give it a, you can always unsolder them, resolder them. But when you've got a 50-50 chance, it always is wrong. So, I'm gonna right, so there we go. Probably have to flip the board back over and swap them from that one to that one. But I'm going to give it a go at 50-50. So what I was saying about 50-50 is, so this, if it's going straight, which that is straight, so that should be 0. So now that one's live when it's supposed to be that one, and this one's live when it's supposed to be this one. So I'm going to need to just swap those two wires over, and then that'll work. Right, just to show you this is working, I'm going to flip the points so it goes that way. I'm just going to connect a 9-volt battery. So you can see we've got power. Turn it around. Now working. Flip the point. And no power to locomotive on that track. So if I bring that back, need to go this way. I have to support the track. Am I far enough over the point? Okay, so now I've got to be very careful I don't drop the locomotive. It should. Power going down there. Now if I switch the point again, no power. So that's running exactly how I want it on DC, and also it will work perfectly on DCC. All I've got to do is, if I want to do it in DCC, is just bypass the switch. So it's all live again. And I've put droppers on all the tracks, so every track has got a dropper to it, so I'm not going to get any issues with the fish plates not producing enough contact, so I'm happy. Wiring's, well, small part of it is complete. Thought I'd just do a quick drawing of how I actually wired this. So I know it's a little bit basic, and I think some people already probably know how to wire these, but I'll just give you a quick drawing. My track plan. And those are the isolated sections where I put the isolation fish plates in. That's just to give you an idea that that is the track, and this is a very large point motor. So this is the PM1 point motor, and we have an F, which is the common wire, E, and a D for the switch. So didn't quite have enough space to write that whole in. So I do have red wire feed. And also that will go to my common on the switch. And black wire will go there, and that's also linked via the points to here, but I do also have a wire that I've put to the black as well. And the red, so we have one that comes to this track via the switch, and then one straight to that. And then if I switch the point blade across, it'll go to E and power this track. Drop it down and it powers this track. And it's just as simple as that, really. I've made it slightly more complicated because I've put droppers on there and I've created a little bit of a bus, just to give me more, control over any of the track joins, but that is just the basic wiring diagram. And really the reason why I've done it like that is because these O gauge points have power going to here and power going to here all the time. So you have to put an isolation in if you want to run it on DC. I'm not sure why they're wired that way, but they are, and I'm not going to think about it too much, but that was the solution I came up with. Obviously, loads of other people have done the same thing in the past. And how that sort of translates into my wiring underneath. So, got my red wire there, black wire there, which is the same as what I've got here. And then I've got my switch. And then the common goes from there to the switch, and then each one switches each positive track feed. And that's really nice and simple, but it also looks nice and neat underneath. And really that's all I can get done this week. I'm sorry it's taking a little bit of time. It will really start progressing once I've got some more parts ready to go. I've got some items on order at the moment, and I want to do all the hard standing. So now I know the track level, I can get all the hard standing. I think it's 6mm card that I need to put around the edges, and then I'm going to get all this plastered, and I'm going to have a go at making cobblestones rather than concrete this time. So I've ordered cobblestone roller from Smart Models, and it's 3D printed roller, so I can just roll it along. And then they do an insert one that goes in the track. I've ordered that, and I'm just going to have a go with doing that. And I think it should look quite good if I can get it painted well. So, but that's coming up in in next week's episode. But for this week's episode, I wish you a very good evening or a very good rest of the day, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Take care.